Hey everyone, today I want to walk you through a movement. It's fairly advanced. It's a pistol squat. If you're unfamiliar with what a pistol squat is, it's a single leg squat where you have to maintain good core control, good balance, good ankle flexion, and obviously you're going to need a good deal of strength in your legs to be able to accomplish this movement. I'm just going to demonstrate the movement real quick so you have a better idea of what we're talking about. The movement is going to be where you have one leg outstretched in front of you and you're going to lower down into that deep squat with that single leg. So you got to maintain that core, nice control, keeping that leg up off the floor. As you come up, you're going to rise and keeping that foot above in a almost 90-degree angle. Okay, that is our movement. There's going to be a few things that you're going to need in order for you to be successful at this movement. One, you're going to need a good proper flexion, dorsiflexion in your ankle joints. If you cannot get good flexion in your joints, you will not be able to accomplish this movement. Number two, you're going to need good flexion in your hips as well as you would with any squat for that matter. Third, you're going to need a lot of core balance and core control and a good deal of core strength, okay? Because you need to lower yourself down, maintaining that balance. Without core, you're not going to be able to keep that balance very well. And the last element is obviously going to be strength, okay? So if you're not prepared for this particular movement via strength, it's going to be something you're going to need to progress up to. That's why I'm here. I'm going to show you the different progressions today, and I'm also show you what are some of your limitations and how do you combat those. So let me walk you through. Join me. Okay guys, so you're probably wondering why I have one shoe on, or maybe you're not, but I'm asking you anyway. Guys, in order for you to do the pistol properly, you're going to need one of the things I mentioned earlier is ankle dorsiflexion. With ankle dorsiflexion is going to help you get into that lower squat or single leg squat, pistol squat, with the ability to kind of balance on the flat foot. Okay, so how can you test on how good your dorsiflexion is? So what are you going to do is you're going to go to a wall, or in my case I'm using this rig, and I'm going to use my fist. Okay, so I'm going to go fist and I'm going to go sideways, so my fist is pointing like this direction, and I'm going to step where my toe is at the end of that where my fist length is. Okay, so with this, now I'm going to need to lean forward by keeping my foot flush on the floor. No rising of the heels, keeping your foot flush and touching my knee into the rig or into the wall, wherever you're doing it. Now, if you have trouble doing that, then there's probably some sort of issue with maybe tightness in your calves, or it's going to be something with the flexion of your foot, and we need to address that. So I'm going to walk you through ways of you being able to address that in a moment. Okay? Okay guys, so if you are struggling with dorsiflexion in your ankle, so again, I keep saying dorsiflexion. Dorsiflexion is where the angle between being able to bring your toe back towards your face, that's the angle. So that's plantar flexion, this is dorsiflexion. So in order for us to correct this, there are a few different things. First, we may be too tight on our calves, and we can address that by doing some foam rolling exercises, which I could show you. Also, we can do some basic stretching. So I would suggest doing stretches like this, where you have your toe up and I have my heel onto the floor. I'm gonna just try and raise, so I'm stretching out my calves while I'm making that dorsiflexion angle even more exaggerated. And I'm gonna hold that position. So if I'm doing this after or a workout and I wanna work on this, I'll do this for maybe 30 seconds, upwards of 2 minutes, and I would hold, rest, and then repeat. So you wanna continuously do this on a regular basis so you can really start to stretch out your calves, okay? That's one of the movements. Second movement is where we're just gonna basically be having our calf like such, and I'm stretching out by placing my foot flat against the floor while I push forward with a straight leg, and I feel that stretch all along here while I'm also exaggerating that angle of my flexion of my foot. Okay, so those are two ways that you can stretch out your calves, as also kind of really putting that pressure on maintaining a good amount of flexion in your ankles. Okay, another way that you can do this is by holding out a weight. So you can hold out a weight in your hands and you're doing a squat. Okay, so you're here and you're just staying nice and low and you're putting all the weight forward. Okay, so you could put the weight forward, or if you have a weight, an actual plate or a kettlebell or a dumbbell, you hold it in your hand and you're pushing forward by still keeping your heels flush on the floor. So you need to maintain that floor contact. So we're here, keeping my foot straight from the side angle. And I'm getting nice and low, pushing forward. And making sure that I'm exaggerating and stretching out. I could feel it in my shins, I could feel this, and I could feel it in my calves, both, okay? So, again, if you have some sort of weight, hold it in your hand, and that would be another added bonus for you. But even if you're doing this and you're holding this position, and I'd say a good 20 to 30 seconds at a pop, upwards of, even 2 minutes, and holding it, and then coming back up, taking a bit of rest, and then repeating the particular stretch. Okay, those are some really good stretches that are going to help with that calf stretching and also your mobility of your ankle. So that's what you're going to do for that. Okay, so we've already established how do we correct our dorsiflex if we're having any of those issues. That low squat with the weight or even unweighted where you're shifting your weight forward, that's going to help with your hips as well as your ankle dorsiflexion, and also those 2 stretches that I showed you where you're putting that pressure on your calves, and that's going to help you out. Obviously, if you do some sort of foam rolling for your calves, that's also going to help massaging out the muscles and loosening them up. But our first progression, in order for us to step into that pistol squat, is going to be a close or feet touching squat. So you need to be able to establish this. This is going to show you a bit more core control because you have a wider base of your footing. So you need to be able to do a squat like this. Okay, so if I can get down really deep by keeping my knees and my ankles and everything close together at once, and I could still rise, that's going to say, hey, I have good hip flexion, I have good ankle dorsiflexion, and I have good core control on this particular movement. So that's your step number 1. If you've done that, congratulations, we go to step number 2. Okay, step number 2 is where we're going to do a wall assisted or a rig assisted, whatever you have handy in front of you, that's what we're going to do. So let me take you there now. Okay guys, so showed you your first progression, which was the feet and knees touching squat. Second progression is going to be using a rig, or if you have a wall, whatever you have handy near you, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the eccentric phase. Eccentric is when we go into the downward phase, okay? So as we're lowering into that squat, use your hand to hold on and have that be your guide, okay? So I'm using it to help me get down. When I'm here, I can even help myself up by climbing up with my hands, or just use it in the eccentric phase as I'm coming down. Hold on, and then try and rise by yourself, okay? If you can do the latter, the second one, then that means you're gaining that strength. You have the flexion in your foot. Everything is going really well. If you still need to hold on to yourself, that's fine. That's still a great job. So that's progression number 1. Okay, our progression number 2 is going to be done with a box, and I'm going to show you that now. Okay guys, so like I said, progression number 2, or progression number 3, sorry, is going to be our box. Okay, so now you're actually going to use your entire body weight, but you're going to be, stopped, and you don't have to really control that bottom phase of this particular movement. So you're going to be able to just lower yourself down onto the box, and then rise up. Okay, so it really makes it easy for you because now you're doing everything on your own, but it's giving you that stopping point, and then you're going to rise above. So you're going to lower down as slowly as possible, then you're going to rise up as strong as possible as well. Okay, so obviously you could start at a high box where you're only going a bit low and then come back up. Then you're going to progressively get lower and lower and lower until potentially maybe you're going to use something like a med ball or something very low to the ground where you would be almost to that point in the actual pistol squat. Okay, so if you're at that phase, that's really cool. But let's start with the higher box, and the next phase of this progression is going to be similar. Let's go through that right now. So we're going to be using a band for this one. Okay. Okay guys, so we've now done our knees and feet close to together when we're doing our squat. We've done our eccentric phase using the help of a wall or a rig. We've also done our box pistol. Our next step is going to be where we're going to use a band, okay? So you can hang the band from up above and then it'll just be kind of put into your hip as you're doing that pistol, so it'll kind of wrap around the inner thigh. I'm not gonna do it that way. I'm gonna do it where you're sitting. So you're gonna use your J hooks, and I'm just gonna put it at about just slightly below my hip, and I'm gonna go like this. Guys, obviously there are different bands, so you can use different thicknesses. So if you're only at a thick band phase, that's where you start. And as you get stronger and stronger, your flexion gets better and better. You're gonna be able to decrease the size of a band until you're down to just one of these, okay? Okay, so that's really how you're gonna progress. This is the final element of it, okay? From here, I'm just gonna put my bum onto the band. I'm gonna lift that foot, and I'm gonna maintain that balance that I was talking about earlier, the strength, and I'm gonna get down nice and low. And now the band is under me, guiding me, okay? But it's only guiding me a little bit. And now I gotta do the work by myself. Okay, guys, so that's really how we're gonna get it done, okay? So some of you at this point may have the strength, may have the balance, but maybe you don't have that dorsiflexion. Or maybe you have the dorsiflexion and you have the balance, but you don't have the strength. One of the elements. So you need to work on all the components of this particular movement. Strength, flexibility, and core and balance, okay? So guys, if you are struggling still, when you reach this phase, you're still struggling with dorsiflexion, there's only one more step. This is going to be something that you can use in any squat. If you're having problems getting into that squat because you're leaning forward, or the single leg squat because you're leaning forward and your heel comes off the ground, this is the easy solution just so you can still do that movement. You raise, you elevate, you put something to elevate your foot in the heel of your foot. And as you go into that squat, it's gonna make it easier, on your knees. It's gonna make it easier because your heel is not gonna come up because it's already up. And then you rise. That's how we do a progression of any kind of squat for that matter, not just pistols. You can do for regular squats as well as pistols because your heel wants to elevate because of that flexion in your ankles that you do not have currently. But we're gonna do those exercises that I discussed earlier on a regular basis, and it'll help you get to where you need to. So guys, try and do this pistol, progress it slowly. Obviously, you don't wanna rush something. If you're not prepared for it, don't try it, and don't really try and go into it because it's really, you're gonna come down and potentially injure yourself, most likely in your knees, okay? So we don't want you to come down and put too much weight on your knees because our knees are delicate, okay? So guys, I wish you good luck. I hope you follow my instructions, and I hope you found this this tutorial helpful, and I hope that you're able to take the steps and hit that pistol squat goal of yours. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Take care, guys.